In the earlier discussion, you learn about the types of communication according to mode, context, and purpose and style. In this lesson, you will review the nature of the communication process and some important communication models. Why is it important that you know the communication models? You will realize their importance because they will help you understand how a communication process works. It is only by knowing the flow of communication that you will be able to make the communication process effective. A model is often abstract. It is a representation of a real-world phenomenon applied to different forms. The interplay of variables in the model is represented graphically. There are many conceptual models for human communication, but in this lesson, you will be exposed to only four. We have the Aristotles Model, Lasswell's Model, Shannon-Weaver's Model, and David Burlos' Model of Communication. First, let us discuss about Aristotle's communication model. Classical rhetoric dates back to ancient Greece during the time of Plato, Aristotle, and the Greek sophists who were great rhetoricians. Effective public speaking was an important consideration in the study of communication. They were good at argumentation and debate, and speech was characterized by repartee. Aristotle emphasized that there are three variables in communication process. We have the speaker, speech, and audience, as it was illustrated in the communication flow. Note, the speaker variable here is very important. Without the speaker, there will be no speech to be produced. Depending on the profile of the audience, the speaker adjusts his or her speech. Some considerations for the audience demographics are age, sex, background, culture, race, religion, gender, social and economic status, and political orientation or inclination, among others. Even beliefs, views, and attitudes also play an important role when talking about audience consideration, since oftentimes the audience bring this with them when they decode a message in any given situation. Next is Lasswell's communication model. In 1948, Harold Dwight Lasswell described communication as being focused on the following W's. Who, says what, in which channel, to whom, and with what effect, as seen in the model. The whole process of communication begins with the communicator sending out a message using a medium for a receiver experiencing an effect afterwards. The process may be analyzed through the content sent, the medium used, as well as the effect on the recipient of the message. While this model is similar to Aristotle's in the sense that both are linear and have the same components, Lasswell's also differs in that there are five variables involved with the addition of two, which are the medium and effect. Next, we have the Shannon-Weaver's communication model. Claude Elwood Shannon and Warren Weaver's model of communication was introduced in 1949, a year after Lasswell's model. Originally, it was conceptualized for the functioning of the radio and television, serving as a model for technical communication, and later on adopted in the field of communication. In this model, other components such as noise, reception, destination, and feedback have been identified. Other terms such as information source for the sender, transmission or transmitter for the encoder, decoder for reception, and receiver for destination were introduced. And lastly, we have the Burlos Communication Model. David Burlos Model, conceptualized in 1960, is probably the most well-known among the communication models. Initially, Burlos Model was called SMCR, which stands for Sender of the Message sent through a channel or medium to a receiver. The major variables involved in the communication process are source, message, channel, and receiver. The source, being the originator of the message, acts as the encoder. As such, the encoder should practice communication skills, such as listening, speaking, reading, and writing. His or her attitude towards the audience or the subject, as well as his or her knowledge about the topic on hand, likewise counts along with the social system that he or she is in, which includes values, beliefs, and practices and culture. The second variable, which is message, includes content, elements such as the language used and gestures employed, treatment or the manner by which the message is transmitted, and structure, which refers to the arrangement of parts or flow of the message. The code shows how the message is sent, that is, the language, or that is verbal code, that is used, and the accompanying gestures, which is the nonverbal code, which is employed. Note that there should be no mismatch between the verbal and nonverbal codes. The third variable, which is channel, refers to the different senses. We have seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. Finally, the fourth variable is receiver, the one who decodes the message. Note that the components of this last variable are similar to those of the first, since for communication to be effective, both the source and the receiver should have a good communication skills. So those are the communication models. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have learned something.